Hi, my name is Kate McMahon, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited for our guest today. She's a very familiar face to what's happening because her organization is so very active. Tammy Harper, she's the Director of Education and Outreach at the Cape Cod Theater Company and Harwich Junior Theater. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kate. It's so nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so exciting to see your face. We've been on a couple Zooms together. I'm getting quite used to communicating this way.
Yes, I know. It's amazing how quickly we learn, isn't it?
It is. And it's so great too because it allows us to, keep the ball rolling and feel productive and do our jobs, which is nice for folks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what I would be doing with myself if we hadn't figured out how to kind of move our programming into this space. So I'm incredibly grateful.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, I know you've done a great job pivoting, and I'm hoping you can share with our audience perhaps the virtual classes that you've put together.
Sure. And I will just say it's been, a learning curve for us. I mean, when everything shut down, I think our last class was March 13th. We had 2 weeks left in our winter session of classes. And, and everything was just stopped. So I think for 10 days, as everybody was in shock, I know all of us were in the same place of saying, okay, well, what now? I was talking to people and learning about Zoom as, everybody was learning about Zoom, and said, well, why don't we just give this a shot? We have 2 weeks left in our winter session, and let's see how it goes. And if we can do this and it's successful, maybe this is how we proceed until things open up. So we did it, and the teaching artists who work with us are amazing and wanted to do this. I mean, our real motivation was our students, and thinking about myself and how disoriented the whole shutdown made me feel. I really thought about our students, and being someone of my age where I've had a lot of time in my life to learn how to handle disappointment and shift and having the rug pulled out from under you, and thinking about the students that haven't had a lifetime of experience in dealing with disappointment. I thought, and our teachers were right on board with, we need to reconnect with these kids.
That's so
and
great.
Let them know we're still here.
That's awesome.
So we did it, and I think the parents were also very grateful and supportive of our efforts. And again, it's a learning curve for everybody.
But I do feel people are very accepting.
They are.
As we all learn, what works well, what doesn't work well. That's just the communication has to pivot too.
It's so true. And yes, people are very forgiving, very forgiving. And again, it's a learning experience. I mean, one of the classes, probably the most difficult class that we did that shift with was our tap dance classes, because tapping, is an intermittent sound. And so when you have the teacher giving the instruction and the taps hitting here and there, and then the music, it was a mess. That first class was a complete mess. But we figured it out with microphones and, placement of microphones, and when do I speak and when do I not speak, and when am I only tapping and there's no, so we figured it out with the students.
And it sounds like all of you were actually laughing going through that process too.
You're laughing and crying and, but ultimately figuring it out. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then you guys just moved very quickly into a whole new set of classes that are underway right now. And I have to say, I'm taking one of the classes online via Zoom, the storytelling class, and I'm absolutely adoring it. Just having a blast.
And I was so delighted to see you were enrolled for that class, because I also took that class the first time we offered it, just so I could understand the class and what it was about, so that I could, explain it to people. And Jen Pina she's just a brilliant teacher. The connection between the people, meeting these people on the Zoom space for the first time, but the deep connection and bond that you created with them surprised me, because I thought, how can you have that kind of connection with people you've never met in this virtual space? But it really can happen. And I think that's the beauty of this platform in some ways, is finding new ways to connect with people, and people that you might not connect with. I'm not exactly sure in your class where people are coming from.
We have two folks that are actually off Cape.
Yep.
And what has been really interesting to me is it's all different levels, people's ability to tell stories. And I definitely am one of the least, well, I haven't just trained that much. And right, it's just like anything, storytelling is training, but it's been a very supportive environment, regardless of the level of ability. So.
That's so wonderful. It really, truly is. So that's, like I said, you're with people from off Cape. Now, those people wouldn't have signed up for a class with us unless it was online. So we are creating, new audience for our classes, and hopefully, once we get back to the theater and to being in person, that, the way I kind of see the future is that we have in-person things happening, but also maybe we continue to offer online programming, because, again, we're reaching people outside of the Cape and in other states, as a matter of fact.
So here we are, almost at July 1st, and can you talk to us a little bit about your summer classes that you're going to be offering?
All right. So one of the things that we've learned, through this whole process also is about Zoom fatigue. And so a lot of our classes that, when they were in-person classes, were 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Our camp, our all-day camp, those are, and again, the kids in that program would have been moving from a morning class to lunch to an afternoon class, but we can't offer those types of things anymore. So we're offering them in a much shortened version. So we have creative drama programs, still our creative drama programs, but not, instead of for 2.5 hours, they're for an hour. We have a great story explorer class that I have to say, the young woman who's teaching this, she's just wonderful. She grew up in our theater. She just graduated from college, virtually graduated from college, but she's so creative, and she has stories that she picks out every week, and then an art activity that the kids can do right with her. She has a PowerPoint set up, so she'll say, okay, here's what we're going to draw. We're doing, yesterday we did a sea serpent to go with the story of Cyrus the sea serpent, I think it was, or I can't remember exactly, but anyway, it was a sea serpent. So she drew, okay, here's the line for, this is the body. Now we do one underneath that parallels it, and she takes them through steps. And, all of the things that they have for the class are things they would have at home, like colored markers or crayons, paper, scissors, tape.
That's great.
So it's really fun. And by the end, they've, heard the story, made the craft, and that's a fun class. We'll be offering again this summer. For older kids, we have Nina, who's our producing artistic director, is doing a wonderful class called Acting Through Time and Space. And that's for grades 5 through 8. And it's really kind of just a deepening understanding of character, relationship. They're building on skills, acting skills. And then for the older high school age kids, a wonderful play reading class taught by Jim Byrne, who is our junior player teacher. He's also a director, designer. I mean, he's an incredible teacher. And this spring we did 2 play reading sessions. The first one was The Importance of Being Earnest. And one of the fun things that he did with those kids was had them, this is one of the Facebook things that have been going around where people would take a piece of artwork and then, find things in their house to mimic the piece of art. So he had them, research the era and then costume themselves from things they had in their house. And the costumes were brilliant. I mean, just
fun.
Unbelievable and fun for the kids. So when they did the final reading, during the course of the 4 weeks we could put them into the breakout rooms and they could rehearse their scenes and come back and read their scenes for everybody. But on their final day, they were costumed and it was just really fun. And right now they're reading The Diary of Anne Frank for this session. In the summer, they're going to be doing a lot of other, there are other options, just depending on who signs up. But a fun thing that we're going to do in the summer with the play reading class, and this is our next kind of leap toward our trying to reopen a little bit, is offering one in-person class at the theater, which is our technical theater class, which will be for grades 7 and up, so 7 through 12. And they will be, normally our technical theater classes are building our sets for our summer productions. Since we won't be having, at least there are no scheduled summer productions right now, they will be building the sets for the online play reading class, which we will then, I know, it's exciting, because then we'll take the pictures of it, we'll send it to the kids, they'll put them as their virtual background while they're doing the reading of their play at the end.
That's great. So you have really adapted quickly. And we also talked about a special event that you have coming up soon.
Yep, we're doing, so again, since we can't have performances in the theater, we have one of our board members, Allison Mahoney, is an alum from many years ago. I think her generation of young people was there from like maybe 85 to 95 is when they were very active in the theater. Well, they've stayed in touch. Many of the kids that come to the theater, they develop these bonds that really are lifelong friendship bonds. And this particular group have stayed very, very tight over the many years. And many of them have gone on into professional realms in theater. She happens to be the singing baker. You've seen her on, maybe you haven't, but she can be found on a lot of television shows singing and baking. And but she organized her group, her kind of peer group from that era, to some of them pre-recorded songs and sent them in. Chris Sidoli was in London, so he had to pre-record. Seth Doan was in Italy, so he pre-recorded something with his name just escaped me, but they pre-recorded, and then Nina was able to, after the presentations, able to interview them live. So it was a wonderful night, and then we wanted to do something like that where we could bring in other alum who wanted the opportunity to perform. And then, given everything that has happened in recent weeks with Black Lives Matter, we decided that our next one, which will be on June 25th, is going to be called A Time to Listen. And it's with Black and inclusive people of color who've been in our productions, who are now either here on the Cape or Boston. I think some are in New York, and they'll be, and that will be performed on June 25th at 7:30. So that's our next cabaret. And then we'll have another one in July with younger, multi-generational alum.
That's great. That takes a lot of coordination. That's wonderful.
It takes a lot of coordination. And again, we learn as we go. The first time around, we figured out that music is harder on Zoom than just regular conversation. So we're asking people now to pre-record and send it in, and then we will talk with them live. But it's the live singing when you have music playing at the same time, it's harder to manage. So we live and learn.
Right. We hosted a story slam, and it benefited the food bank as well as the local nonprofit that's created a business resilience fund. And we actually pre-recorded, and it worked out wonderfully.
That's great.
Yeah, because it was a lot of music, a lot of different people. So
yeah.
And again, that was something we had to learn too.
Yeah. Well,
so
we're all learning.
Yeah. So you guys are being so creative, but I just had a thought. What if our viewers have some ideas that they would like to toss your way? Are you willing to brainstorm with others?
Love to brainstorm with others. That makes me the happiest. I had a meeting today with Jerry Hammond, who's the director of education at Wheelock Family Theater in Boston, just to brainstorm ideas. And, two of the classes that are being offered right now are simply because somebody reached out to me who I had not met before and said, listen, here's my resume, here's what I do, here are my contacts. I'd like to offer, a movie making class and a singing, an intro to singing class. Okay, let's do it.
Go, right.
And again, because I'm the director of education, and when you have people that are new coming in to teach a class, and I haven't met them and haven't had the chance to kind of see them in action, I need to be in the class with them. So you'll see me there in the classes with the teachers and the students.
Well, that's great. So they can find your email address, I assume, on your website?
Yep. It's Tammy, Tammy, at CapeCodTheaterCompany.org.
Wonderful. And if they want to learn more about the organizations and the upcoming classes, what is the website address?
It's CapeCodTheaterCompany.org.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And you can find everything about the cabarets, the upcoming A Time to Listen, all of the summer classes that are currently planned are available for registration now. I will just say that if you are able to and want to make a donation to our theater, we would certainly appreciate that. We've, as many arts organizations have, taken a huge hit in revenue when you can't produce anything that people buy tickets for. So we are looking for wonderful angels to give us gifts to keep us here, because we want to be here.
Right, and we have so many generous people here on the Cape with a ton of experience. So I'm hoping that they'll get creative and help you out as well.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you for being here. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yes, very soon.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy.
Bye.